Welcome to Life in Calgary, Alberta. I'm your host, Patrick Murray. And if you want to know what it's like to eat, sleep, live, breathe, and play in Calgary, Alberta, and you want to know where you should live in Calgary, Alberta, then you are in the right place. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and click that little bell so that you get notified every time I release a new video. Now, guys, I was once new to Calgary myself. I moved here back in 2001. So I've got some longevity going for me, which gives me some unique insight into the city. Not only that, but I've been in the real estate industry with Coldwell Banker Mountain Central since 2010 here in Calgary, Alberta. So I know this town like the back of my hand. So let's get into where you should live in Calgary, Alberta right after this. All right, guys. So where should you live in Calgary, Alberta? Well, before we jump in, there are a few things that you need to consider, and I'm just going to bring them up here. And I made a few notes so I don't miss anything. Number one is the type of property you want to live in. Do you want to live in a detached home? Do you want to live in a semi-detached home? You know, maybe you've got kids or a dog and you need a yard, that sort of thing. Do you want to live in a townhouse or a condo apartment? You know, perhaps you don't like exterior maintenance, that sort of thing. So maybe having that looked after for you is important to you. So those are things that you need to consider. The other thing, of course, you need to consider is budget, right? What can you afford and where in the city? And we're going to get into that because we're going to do a deep dive into what you can afford in the various sectors of the city. The other one is schools. Schools is huge. Of course, many of us have little people in our lives. They're very important to us. And of course, we want them to grow up smart and educated, right? So where are your kids going to go to school? So, are private schools important to you? If that's the case, you might want to live close to maybe the western side of the city where there's some private schools, or way down south, there's some private schools down there, that sort of thing. Of course, there's the Calgary Board of Education and the Calgary Separate School District, which is the Catholic Board of Education here in Calgary. That's where my kids go to school, and I'm very happy with the education they're getting. But what I'll do is I'm in the description below, I'm going to leave links for each school district there so that you can go in and investigate once you decide kind of where you want to live so that you can see what schools are available. The other part you need to consider is work. Where are you going to work? Are you going to be working in the inner city? Maybe you're going to be working in some of the industrial areas, so you want to live closer to those areas, or at least have good access to get to those parts of town, that sort of thing. Or do you work from home? Maybe it's not a concern. Maybe you just want a roomy space where you can go and have your own home office, that sort of thing. And of course, lifestyle is very important. I mean, if you're going to move to Calgary, hey, you got to make sure that you check off that lifestyle box. So what's important to you? Do you like to get to the mountains often? If that's the case, then maybe you want to live at that side of the town on the western side that sort of, as soon as that 5 o'clock whistle blows, boom, you load up the car with the family and you're gone to the mountains to go skiing or mountain biking or camping in the summer, that sort of thing. Or maybe you just want good egress. Where I live in the inner city, I've got pretty good egress to get out to the mountains if I want to. For me personally, I'm an inner city dweller. So living in the inner city is where I want to be because there's lots of action, and maybe that's for you too. So these are all things that you need to consider. And without further ado, let's do a deeper dive into where you should live in Calgary, Alberta.
All right, guys, so let's get started by first looking at the city of Calgary and kind of the surrounding communities so you can kind of get an idea of the lay of the land, so to speak. So this is all of Calgary right here. Now, Calgary is a huge city by landmass at over 840 square kilometers. So that is the third largest city by landmass in all of Canada. So we've got a fair bit of real estate here, and there's a few reasons for that too. I mean, we do have two major provincial parks within our borders with Nose Hill Park and Fish Creek Park. And then, of course, the Calgary International Airport takes up a fair bit of real estate as well. So this is north up here. Down to the bottom is south, east, west. You guys can figure it out there. But let's talk about some bedroom communities around Calgary first. So Calgary, we've got Chestermere over here. Now, Chestermere is a terrific community. It's not far. It's pretty easy to get into Calgary. You take the Trans-Canada Highway, which turns into the 16th Avenue, and you can get onto Deerfoot Trail. You can take the Ring Road, which is Stony Trail. Lots of ways to get in to where you need to go, depending what part of the city you need to get into. And it's a lovely community. I've had some family members that have lived there. They've enjoyed it. I enjoyed visiting them. So it's a good bedroom community. To the south, we've got Okotoks. It's another great community down there. And again, pretty easy to get into town. You get into Highway number 2. You can connect with the Deerfoot Trail, or 2A here, which turns into McLeod Trail. Of course, once you hit up here, you get onto the Ring Road, which is Stony Trail, and gets you all around to where you need to go in the city as well. Let's go way up to the north. So we have Balzac, and then up above that is Airdrie. And Airdrie is another very popular bedroom community of Calgary. This Highway 2 goes all the way down. Now, if you keep going up, that will lead you up to Edmonton. It's 3 hours away from Calgary, roughly. And Highway 2, which is the Queen Elizabeth II Highway, turns into Deerfoot Trail, will get you down in here. Of course, there's the Ring Road as well that gets you around, depending where you need to go. And another popular bedroom community is Cochrane. And Cochrane, I quite like Cochrane. It's kind of like a little resort town, if you will. A Highway 1A turns into Crowchild Trail, which feeds you down into wherever you need to go. You can hit Glenmore Trail down here. The Trans-Canada, of course, Stony Trail. So there's lots of good access that way as well. And you can come this way down and connect the Trans-Canada, go into Calgary that way as well. So those are the bedroom communities, guys, for Calgary. And then this is Calgary as a whole. Let's just kind of zoom in here so you can get an idea. I like to start by showing the downtown first, just so you have an idea. A lot of people work in a downtown core, so I just like to start with that. So just south of the river here, this is the downtown core, kind of in this region here. Now, for all intents and purposes, really, there's lots of industry going on down here, lots of office buildings, that sort of thing. So that's downtown, if you will. Now, I live in the inner city. This is part of the inner city. This is Renfrew. This is where I live. I live in Renfrew, and I really like where I live in the inner city because there's the Trans-Canada Highway. There's yes, the world famous Peters Drive, if anybody knows that. There's Edmonton Trail. There's Center Street going into downtown. Of course, I can get on to Highway 2, which is actually Deerfoot Trail, which is the busiest freeway in all of Alberta. But we've got Memorial Drive is another popular egress. Of course, I can easily get over to Crowchild Trail. Wherever I need to go to the city, from where I am and for what I do in the industry that I'm in, I can get pretty well anywhere in the city in roughly a half an hour. So anyways, this gives you an idea of the middle of the city. Now, the nice thing about Calgary is there are lots of amenities throughout. So of course, in the inner city core, you're going to have lots of amenities. It's one of the oldest areas in town, and there's always amenities and shopping nearby and that sort of thing, grocery shopping. But what's nice is, all these little communities kind of have lots of amenities available. So for example, if I zoom in, you're already seeing some infrastructure here, which is, Real Canadian Superstore and some other shopping areas, Home Depot, Shoppers Drug Mart, et cetera, in this area, and that's up in the north. If we go over here, again, these areas, they all have their own little shopping areas and that sort of thing. So everywhere in Calgary is pretty well self-sustained. So if you live kind of out, further out, that sort of thing, you're not far from amenities ever. There's always amenities of some sort nearby. Here's, we've got Costco over here. There's all sorts of, Walmart, and this is a big area here as well. So there's always stuff available in that way. So let's, we've kind of looked at the north here. Let's go over here. Let's go here. So this Crowchild Trail, there's tons of amenities available all along here. So wherever you live in these areas here, so this is kind of the northwest, if you will. And like, for example, if I zoom in, like look at Arbor Lake up here, up near Arbor Lake. There's all sorts of amenities here, Safeway, restaurants, Cineplex Odeon, there's a library up there, there's the YMCA, so on and so forth. And that's just the way it is here. Now, University Calgary is over here. So if you live in the Northwest in a city or a city center, it's pretty easy to get to the University of Calgary from these areas as well. Now, I should note too that if you're a prof or something like that, or if you're a physician that works around, Children's Hospital or even a university hospital, for example, there's Varsity is very popular for that, so that's a very hot community as well. Again, here's one of our major shopping centers in Calgary is in this northwest area here with Market Mall. Just to prove a point here again, let's go down. We'll go down to the south here and just take a look so you can kind of see. So this is an area, lots of stuff down here in Deerfoot Meadows. Lots of shopping available. There's IKEA, there's grocery stores, there's Costco, there's the farmers market over here, all sorts of stuff. If we keep going down, let's go down McLeod Trail. Again, McLeod Trail is another thoroughfare full of amenities here. Here's another major hospital. The Rocky View General is over here, so this kind of gives you an idea where that is. The other one for Calgary is, there's one, let me see here, just out this way. Foothills Medical Center right there. Alberta Children's Hospital. The other major one is way down south here. Let's go down. Here we are. Big H down by Auburn Bay. Well, across the street from Auburn Bay and Seton is the South Health Campus, our newest hospital. It's huge. But again, look at this area here. I mean, there's all sorts of things down here. There's all sorts of shopping available. There's Save On Foods, Dollarama, lots of pubs and restaurants, and Cineplex Odeon, and all sorts of stuff. So all these communities, I don't want you to stress about where you're living. There's always shopping of some sort nearby. So that's the nice thing. And that's just the way they develop things now too. So I'll just show you here too, and we'll touch on these later. This is Fish Creek Provincial Park. This is to the south. So lots, takes up a lot of real estate down here, kind of breaks up the city. So you can see why our city has kind of that sprawl. Here's another major shopping center with South Centre Mall. And this is well used and well enjoyed by so many people. There are also a few, this is Spruce Meadows out here. So if you're into equestrian events, it's world famous. Lots of events put on here as well, and markets. That's in the southwest. We've got Heritage Park over here and Glenmore Reservoir, just not far from Glenmore Trail and just to the west of McLeod Trail. And if we look at these egress again, I just want to just point out again. So we've got lots of major thoroughfares. So we've got, coming from the north, Deerfoot Trail. We've got Stony Trail, number 201, which is kind of like our ring road that goes around. We've got the 1A, which turns in the Crowchild Trail. We've got the Trans-Canada Highway, which is good east-west. We've got this road here, which is Glenmore Trail, which is another great east-west connector. Another good one for Calgary is, as I look, Anderson is another major connector here, east-west, that sort of thing. And there's one in the north that there's a bunch in the north that I like, but there's one particular in the north that I really like, which is Beddington Trail, that I use often because I use kind of to go up here again. Here's more markets, TNT supermarket, that sort of thing, golf clubs, lots of parks, etc. Beddington Trail, and it goes up and it connects me nicely with some of these communities up here in the north and in the far north and that sort of thing. So that gives you a little bit of an idea of the lay of the land for Calgary. Now, Calgary, in a real estate perspective, is split into a few different quadrants, and we're going to discuss that next. All right, guys. So before we jump into the sectors of the city, I talked about access and through all the major thoroughfares throughout Calgary. But what I forgot to mention was the Calgary transit system. So let's start by talking about that first. Calgary has an excellent C train service or light rail transit service in our city. Here's kind of a map of what it is here. So remember that Crowchild Trail I was talking about that ran in the northwest? Well, the red line runs from the northwest all the way down and it goes down into the downtown core and then goes down into the southwest section of the city. And then we have the blue line that heads from the west end part of the city into the downtown core. And then it continues on, past Bridgeland, past the zoo, and then heads north into the northeast sector of the community. And then right now they're working on another line that's going to run north-south, but kind of fill some gaps kind of in these areas over here. And of course, Calgary has an excellent bus service as well. So if you need to get to a C train, you can take the bus at a C train, or you can take the bus to your destination, or you can do a park and ride where you park at a C train station, secure parking, and then take the train from there. So that's getting around Calgary. Here is Calgary broken into the real estate map. Sorry for the up and down there. Bear with me. So the real estate map's actually, broken into 8 districts. So in the middle of the city center, and then let's start at 9 o'clock because this is how I'm going to progress through today. Over to 9 o'clock is the west sector. Then we've got this northwest sector again. That's that Crowchild Trail, and then up here is the north. And by the way, guys, this is the ring road that runs all the way around. So this light blue is the north. Then we've got the northeast over here by the Calgary International Airport. And then down here, some of this is more affordable. If you will, this is kind of a little more affordable in terms of detached homes. The very most affordable area in detached homes is the east sector of the city, which is this green. And the most tough word for me today, expensive sectors are city center and the west areas for detached homes. And then down here is the southeast, very, very popular area of the city, and the south. So that kind of gives you an idea. So today we're going to get started discussing the city of Calgary benchmark prices. So we talk about benchmark prices as a whole. It's a better indicator of price rather than looking at median or average pricing, because those can be skewed by data. So for example, if we had an unusually high amount of multi-million-dollar sales in a particular month, that could skew the average sale price or the median sale price. So by looking at benchmark pricing, it's a better predictor of price, and it considers, like, for example, the average detached home would be like a 2-story, 3-bedroom house, that sort of thing. So the average detached benchmark price for the city of Calgary as a whole, taking into consideration all sectors, is $635,900. Now that's definitely up from January, definitely up from where we were in the end of 2022, and it's definitely up from where we were a year ago today. If we look at the benchmark price for semi-detached homes in the city of Calgary as of February, now this video is being made in March, but of course we're not at the end of March, so we don't have the March data. So that's why we have February data. So the semi-detached benchmark price is $568,100 for the whole city. That is up from last month, and it is up from last year. If you're looking at a row or a townhouse, the benchmark price for the city of Calgary is roughly $370,000. Again, that is up from last month, definitely up from last year. And if you're looking at the apartment or condo sector, our benchmark price for the city is $286,000, which is up from last year and definitely up from, up from last month and definitely up from last year. So that gives you an idea. So let's look at the map. Now, guys, we're going to go focus in the city center area There's lots of neighborhoods here, as you can see, but we're gonna discuss the neighborhoods as a whole and talk about pricing. So before I do, a few things here. Again, I live kind of in this Renfrew district here, just kind of in this area of the city here, and I like it because there's good access with 16th Avenue, which is the Trans-Canada Highway, to go east-west. You know, I can pop down to Glenmore Trail if I need to. There's Memorial Drive I use often. There's Deerfoot Trail, which is the QE2. Of course, there's getting around in the Ring Road as well. So I have lots of great access points. It's easy to get over Crowchild Trail to head out this way as well. So anyways, that's one of the pluses for getting around in the city center. You know, city center is one of the oldest areas of the city, of course, because that was what was established first. In fact, the oldest neighborhood is this number 200 over here. That's the neighborhood code for it, which is Inglewood. So one of the older areas of the city. Another one is Bridgeland, Riverside. Again, this is Renfrew, where I live in this neighborhood here, and I absolutely love it. And I do a lot of work in the inner city. I love working in the inner city because I love all the different property types. So you've got a bunch of new stuff going in, you know, some old stuff being torn down, but you've got this older stuff too that's beautiful. So as I said, this is a little more expensive in terms of real estate prices, but of course that's what you pay for proximity to the downtown core and for established neighborhoods. Now, my house, you know, I've got a 1912 character home, so I don't have a brand new home, but that's what I like about these neighborhoods is you get a little bit of a mix of everything. So if we go down here, we'll go down to the benchmark price for detached homes in the city center is $793,400 as of February, the end of February 2023. And you can see that that's comparable. Well, it's up a bit from last month, and of course it is up a fair bit from last year. If we look at the semi-detached benchmark price, you know, we're $792,200 in the city center. So again, semi-detached is like sorry guys, some of you don't use that terminology. It's like a duplex, if you will. You share a wall with another property, and again, this takes into account all the old stuff and all the brand new stuff too. So the benchmark price is $792,200, which is up from last month, certainly up from last year. And if we look at the row housing, which is townhouses, you're going to pay a fair bit for a townhouse in the inner city. The benchmark price is $525,200, which is up from January and certainly up from last year. Now, trust me, I can get you into a beautiful property, you know, 400 or sub 400. That's a townhouse in the inner city. There are some older properties that are just beautifully done and well looked after. So it's not that you can't get into those, but this is the benchmark price, if you will. And then if we look at condos, you're going to pay $312,000 for an apartment condo, which is you know, up from, well, it's up from all years, but certainly up from last month and up from a year ago as well. Excuse me, I gotta take a glass of water there. All right, let's move on. So I mentioned we were gonna kind of do the clock here starting in the middle. Now we're gonna go over to 9 o'clock. We're gonna look at the west end of the city. Now, this is also right now considered one of the more expensive areas of the city. You know, we've got, you know, Aspen Woods, for example, is an expensive area. There's some very nice shacks over there. Springbank Hill, Signal Hill, some very nice homes there as well. You know, all in here. So some great homes. There are also some private schools over this way. So if that's important to you, you know, you might want to live closer to this area if you're thinking of sending your kids to a private school. Some good access here. We've got Sarcee Trail, which connects with Glenmore Trail, and then we've got the Trans-Canada Highway and so on and so forth. So kind of gives you a bit of an idea of what's in the area here. So proximity to downtown is pretty straightforward. You can also just zip along 17th Avenue to get down this way, or go up here, and you know, lots of egress to get you to where you need to go. Probably Glenmore Trail is another good one that you'll probably use. So let's move on here, guys. So the benchmark price for a detached home, you're going to notice right now it's more than city center. It's this is $807,600, which is up slightly from last month and up from last year as well. If we look at semi-detached homes, the benchmark price is $677,800, which is up from last month and up greatly from last year. Row or townhouses is 371,000, up from last month, comparable to last year. And if we look at apartment condos, you know, it's 293,300, up from last month, definitely up from last year. Okay, guys, so that was 9 o'clock. Let's move up to kind of like 10 o'clock, 10:30. This is going to be the northwest sector of the city. This is a very popular area of the city for so many reasons. Crowchild Trails along here, again, lots of amenities along this Crowchild Trail, so you're never too far from anything. Nose Hill Park is right here, so that's something that you can take advantage of as well. You know, Rocky Ridge is out here. You can continue on, and that'll take you to Cochrane out this way. This is that Crowchild Trail goes down this way. This is 16th Avenue as well, which is the Trans-Canada Highway. So lots of egress to get you downtown, that sort of thing. Detached homes, the benchmark price for a detached home in the Northwest is $661,400, which is up from last month and up from last year. And if we look at semi-detached homes, it's $543,800, which is up from last month and up just about $100,000 from last year. And if we look at the Northwest row housing, which is townhomes, the price is $358,500 for the benchmark price, which is up slightly from last month and definitely up from last year. And apartment condo sector is $253,700, which is up from last month, and it is fairly comparable to last year. All right, let's go north, everybody. Okay, so I said this is expensive in the city center, expensive in the west. Those are the most expensive sectors, probably followed by the northwest sector, I would say. And then I would say the north is probably the third least expensive overall. Well, not necessarily. I mean, let's take a look here, guys. So this is the north sector. This northwest is the north. Again, you've got Nose Hill Park, so you can take advantage of that. This is Stony Trail to get you around to where you need to go. Deerfoot Trail, and there are some other connectors there as well. I'd mentioned that there's Beddington Trail that I like because it takes me up into these neighborhoods as well. So that's how you can get around. You know, some of these are a little bit older communities as well, as they spill over from the inner city. And then as you get further north, of course, we get newer and newer, you know, just, you know, within the last 15, 20 years, you know, Sherwood Park and Cora, Evanston, these were new communities. And now we've got even newer communities popping up here in the Northwest with, you know, Lewisburg, Livingston, Carrington, Ambleton, you know, Glacier Ridge, etc. So now if you live in these communities, beautiful homes, I mean, you get some newer stuff here and some very, very nice homes and a nice mix of you know, townhomes, condos, and houses, and there's some detached homes as well. But the commute to downtown is probably going to be around 45 minutes to get you downtown. So just so you're aware of that, let's take a look here at the prices. So the benchmark price is $590,200, which is up from last month, definitely up from last year. That's for a detached home. For a semi-detached home, we're looking at $455,200, which is up from last month and definitely up from last year. A row or a townhouse is going to cost $353,100, the benchmark price. Again, this is kind of the benchmark price, right? So there's going to be higher, it's going to be lower, but this is the benchmark. That is up from last month, and it is up from last year, and in fact, it is up from all year long. And if you're looking at condo apartments, it's $256,300, which is the highest it's been all year, definitely up from last year as well. All right, let's go to the northeast sector of the city, which is kind of like at 1 o'clock here, 1, 2 o'clock, this pink sector over here. This is probably what I would consider the second least expensive area of the city. Lots of stuff going on up here too, guys. So first off, we've got the Calgary International Airport. You can see that takes up a lot of real estate. However, if you travel a lot, you may want to consider the downtown core, the northeast or the north, to easily get to where you need to go to get to the airport to get out of town. If you do that often, or if you don't mind driving or getting that cab ride, whatever, that's fine too. Now, I mentioned that these are the second least expensive area of the city. Now we've got a couple areas of egress here. We've got the Stony Trail that goes around 16th Avenue and Deerfoot Trail. So that gives you kind of an idea of some of the major thoroughfares around the area to get you to where you need to go. Now, check out the benchmark price for a detached home. That's quite a bit different than our $630,000 city benchmark price. It's $486,600, which is up from last year. And it is comparable to our high. And it is roughly $40,000 more than it was this time last year. If we look at semi-detached homes, we're looking at $345,100. And then January was $339,000. So of course we're up, and we are up about 10 grand from last year. Let's look at row housing. So these are townhomes, $266,300. It's the highest it's been all year. So of course we're up from last month, and we are definitely up from last year. And condo apartments, it's $230,700. Now that's down from last year and slightly up from last month. So you can see this fluctuates a little bit. So this is the misnomer here a little bit. All right, guys, continuing around. Now we're going to go to the east sector of the city. This is in this green area. Now this is probably the least expensive real estate in the city comparatively. And let's just take a look here. Sorry, guys, just trying to get this to fit nicely. So some major areas of egress here is we've got Glenmore Trail, we've got Deerfoot Trail, we've got the Ring Road over here. Now, something of note is there are some industrial areas in this area as well. So if you work in the industrial sectors, this might be important to you. There's International Avenue over here as well that goes through Forest Lawn, etc. And a couple of new neighborhoods popping up as well. So that's going on. Now, there's also lots of shopping along International Avenue, but also there's some larger over in this area here. There are some malls and that sort of thing going up with lots of amenities as well. So that detached benchmark price is $396,800, which is up from last month and definitely up from last year. If you're looking at a semi-detached home, guys, we're looking at $295,400, which is up from last month, down from last year, which is rare to see, but it's true in this neighborhood. Now, townhomes are up $207,600, up from last month. And in fact, it's the highest it's been all year. So definitely higher than last year. And if we're looking at condo apartments, $184,300, up from last month, down from last year, but you can see it's higher than most of the year since May, at least since April, I should say. April was the high. All right, guys, now we're going to go down to this area over here. This is the southeast sector of the city. A few things down here is we have our third largest hospital down here. You're going to notice this little plot of real estate here. That's Fish Creek Park, which is another provincial park. You've got access through Deerfoot Trail. There's the Ring Road as well. And up here is Glenmore Trail. Let's get a little closer look here. Glenmore Trail there. Now, there are some industrial areas in this area of the city as well, but I got to tell you, this is a really popular sector of the city as well for people to live. A lot of people like it. There are homes that are all over the place in terms of pricing. Yes, you can buy homes that are in the millions of dollars here, you know, $1 million+ easily. But you can get some stuff that's pretty respectable in price too. There are a lot of townhomes, specifically in some of these areas like Mackenzie Town, you know, New Brighton, Copperfield, a good mix of homes like that, Auburn Bay, etc. Here's Auburn Bay. So across the street from Auburn Bay and Seton is the hospital down here. And there's good egress to Deerfoot Trail down to the south. All right, guys. So the benchmark price for a house in the southeast is $618,200. So not far from our city benchmark price of $630,000. It is up from last year and last month. Last year over here at $572,000. If you're looking at a semi-detached home, your benchmark price is $433,000, which is up from last month and definitely up from last year. Now, there are a number of semi-detached homes in the sector as well, so that's something to consider as well. In terms of affordability and townhomes, there are a number of townhomes, as I mentioned. So we are at $381,300 right now. It's the highest it's been all year, much higher than last year when it was roughly $328,000. Condo apartments, there's a number of condo apartments in specific neighborhoods down there as well. Some of them newer product as well. So we're looking at $302,900 for February, up from last month, up from all year, and up from February of last year when it's $252,000. All right, and now we'll go down into the south sector of the city, guys. So again, some egress here is Stony Trail. There's McLeod Trail that runs down here as well. Now, lots of amenities along this McLeod Trail, lots of lights too, stop and go traffic. There's some bigger shopping malls down here as well, and up here. This is the way you would go. You continue down to go to Okotoks. It's pretty easy to get over to Deerfoot Trail as well. And there's Glenmore Trail as well. So here's a little closer look at what you're looking at. Now, there's also the Glenmore Reservoir, good pathway around here, good for running, that sort of thing. Again, that Fish Creek Park takes up a lot of real estate. You can see why it breaks up the city, these parks, and why it's spread out. Now, Spruce Meadows is over here. So if you're into, again, if you're into the equestrian stuff, that is a fantastic outlet. Also, I believe our pro soccer team plays over here as well. So let's look at some prices. So detached benchmark price is $619,200, which is up from last month, definitely up from last year. Semi-detached homes, $449,900, up from last month, definitely up from last year. If you're looking for a townhome or a row home in the Southwest, you're going to pay $311,000 for a benchmark price, which is up from last month. In fact, it's up from all year, which means it's definitely up from February of last year. Condo apartments, $252,900 for a benchmark price. Highest it's been all year. So, of course, it's up from last month and last year.
So all I need to know is a little bit about you, and just for you to go think about the criteria we've already talked about here in this video. Tell me what's important to you. You know, what type of home are you looking for from the areas we've discussed and the price points we've discussed? You know, what looks attractive to you? Tell me about your lifestyle. Tell me about what you like to do, what parts of the city kind of excite you, that sort of thing. You know, do you like to ski? Do you like to get out of town often? Do you want to be in the inner city? Do you prefer the suburbs, right? These are all things I need to know. My information is below. Send me a text, send me an email, whatever works. I help people move here all the time, and I can help you too to start living your life in Calgary, Alberta.